So, welcome everybody to our drop-in session on enhancing club quality meetings. Thank you very much, Dee, for joining us this Sunday evening. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Smita Narayan, who has been running it. Smita, as many of you know, has been a Toastmaster for 10 years, I think you said, Smita. Uh,
Yes, we can.
Been a member of several districts. She's a twice times DTM. Gosh, it took me long enough to get one time DTM, so that's a huge undertaking. And currently District 91 Division D Director. Welcome, Smita, and the floor is yours. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. And this training or session is really for all members of Toastmasters. Anyone watching this, first of all, thank you for renewing your membership. Thank you for joining Toastmasters. We don't say thank you enough, but I can assure you that from the bottom of our heart, it's you and I and all of us that make this organization thrive for nearly 101 years. We did celebrate 101 birthday recently, and it's only because of you members. So let me at the outset ask you, what kept you satisfied as members so far? Feel free to speak it out. What satisfies you about your membership? And Nick, why have you been renewing your membership and playing leadership roles for so many years?
I think it's two things. I think it's constantly challenging myself. I think Toastmasters offers the opportunity to constantly challenge myself, and we learn. I think when we when we challenge ourselves, so there's opportunities there, and of course the social side. It's a network of a community. People that support and encourage each other. So those two reasons for me.
Excellent. What about you, Muriel? What keeps you satisfied? You're relatively a younger member. You've been here for a little over a year.
Yeah, so I haven't been here for long, but I keep going, and it's community mainly, the people, the connection that you make, and the personal improvement that you do, and the challenge that you give yourself. A bit like what Nick said, really. Mm.
And all that keeps you satisfied?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I think it's also because it's changing a lot and you're learning a lot. So it is what satisfies me today. But I'm sure if you ask me in 3 months or 6 months time, there will be something else. Mm.
I came to you, you're just a recent member. You've joined less than 4 months ago. And you're in First London Toastmasters, which has an amazing set of energy as a University of Law kind of club. But what is keeping you currently satisfied? And you stepped into an officer role as well, a club officer role.
Yes, I think it's number one, the opportunities to learn the pathways. Number two, the opportunities to give back through serving or by being on the committee. The opportunities of meeting new people, networking, making friends. There are also socials. You can have a mentor. There are just so many different reasons to be satisfied at Toastmasters. So just to name a few.
Thank you. So, at the outset, let me just say that satisfaction only comes if you have expectations. And we all joined Toastmasters. I go back to my very first day on June 1st, 2016, when I joined Toastmasters. I had some expectations. So, satisfaction will only come if you have some expectations from an organization, from a club at the first instance. And satisfaction is very nebulous. It's not really tangible. It's not something you can catch. It's like the wind. You can't quantify it. How do you make an emotion of satisfaction tangible? How do you make it something that you can measure? Because a lot of people say that if you can't measure something, you aren't focused on it. You can't focus on improving it. So we've all heard about the moments of truth. Now, that is a measurement for a club and how it works. But a member satisfaction is very personal to the member. So, what satisfies one member at the time when they join will be very different for the same member as they progress their journey. It's kind of my 30-year-old marriage. The expectations change, satisfaction's level of my husband changes, and half the time you feel, oh my God, this member of my family is not always fully satisfied, because being fully satisfied is also a misnomer. When you have changing expectations and your expectations are moving, obviously you'll never be fully satisfied. So try this. And I love doing this sometimes in some of the clubs I go to. I ask them, raise your hand if you're a fully satisfied member. And trust me, I know there will be at least 7 people who will raise their hand, the club officers. So I know there are always people who answer it. But then the moment I say, how many of you are mostly satisfied as members? That for me is the moment of truth. Because if I don't get every member raising their hand at mostly satisfied, that's when I would love to have a conversation with that member during the break. I wouldn't say you try this, it's risky in all your clubs, even if you're a club officer, but maybe in an organized way you could do it. So, what does Toastmasters provide to us for gauging that expectation that members have? We all have something when a member joins. I'm going to start sharing the screen very quickly, and we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end of it. But I will just share with you, you have something which is called a member satisfaction member interest survey. This is a document called the 403 Member Interest Survey PDF. This is available for you in the new member orientation. It's good when a member has joined within a month, especially if a mentor has been assigned to that member, for them to fill this up. What's their name? What's their club name? What are the goals? Listing 2 goals you wish to accomplish this year as a Toastmaster, and list 2 objectives you want to accomplish in the next few months in support of those goals. What are their interests? And you can gauge levels of their interest on various aspects. And you can scroll down this document. Please read it in your leisure, whether they're joining to maybe contest. Also, what are the club quality characteristics? And they have already, remember, when they become a member, they've usually visited the club a couple of times. Now, this survey is also valid for existing members to also fill. And you can gauge as a club office committee their satisfaction levels from what they expect. And wherever there's a gap, suppose they're just slightly satisfied or not satisfied, then it becomes something to explore. Either the mentor of that member would explore or the VP membership, but it's discussed in the committee of that club. So if we don't ask our members how satisfied they are with the club, it doesn't matter if they're new members or experienced members, we would never be able to gauge. I will show you some results that came from a member satisfaction survey recently. And you can see this is July 2024. Overall satisfaction with Toastmasters is, I'll just make this a bit larger, was 5.8 out of 7. Satisfaction will never be 7 out of 7 on all aspects. When you ask a member, what's your primary goal for joining Toastmasters? Or what is your primary goal today, being a member of Toastmasters? There's a mix of answers that mostly come. Increasing fluency, building confidence, professional goals, building social connections. Some Toastmasters I know come to clubs, don't take speed slots, they just come to network, maybe an occasional table topics or an occasional role. A lot of them actually do come for improving their leadership skills, but then very soon realize they're not the best communicators they thought they were, and they keep changing their goals. So you can already see that in this survey done in July 2025, 70% had already achieved their primary goal. Now, when you say reach their primary goal, remember that primary goal will change over time. So satisfaction levels can be gauged only at a point of time against the expectations at that particular time. So what were the various scores? Now, this was when they were asked, this was on a score of 7. So improving public speaking, which was one of the mantras of Toastmasters, that was fairly rated high. Club meeting structures, people like that, organized structure, and that's not usually where clubs in D91 actually struggle. I think the most of it was with the new changes in base camp and the changes in pathways. Those scores tend to be a little lesser. So as a club officer or as a club committee, if you feel that your club is likely to have lower scores for the pathways program, that's what we need to do to ensure that we can meet those members' expectations. Now, the real world learning opportunities, there's an opportunity always in increasing that score. That comes down to the content of speeches we put in a club meeting. Are they varied enough? If we have people, let's say we do an agenda where you give table topics as well as meeting titles that are very varied. If they're, say, 1/3 of the people, for example, in the IT industry, occasionally you do want to give something that's changing in the IT industry as a content of your speech. Similarly, it's for the VP education to gauge based on members' needs, based on the profile of people, what kind of speeches they would find interesting. Now, Toastmasters doesn't really police the content of individual members. But let's remember that when we put in agendas and we are trying to create speech structures or speech content in a meeting of 2 hours, it has to be something where people are learning even on the content of those the speeches given, the messages that are given, and they should be relevant for the audience over there. Value for cost. Now, this is very different because different points of time in different clubs across UK South have different experiences on value for cost. But this is something we should be gauging. Are they getting their members' worth? And if they are, they're bound to renew. So there's a direct co-linkage and a correlation between member satisfaction and renewals. And that's something we want to make sure. So let's go back to the final score of that question. Will you be willing to recommend Toastmasters to a friend, to a family member? And this score is very important to gauge within your clubs and even within yourselves. If there are things that are holding you back from recommending Toastmasters to your community of contacts, you have to ask yourself, what are you doing about it? So member satisfaction, I believe, and this is my personal opinion, is not really the job of maybe the VP membership or that of the president. This is something that each one of us in the club as members have to communicate. If there's something not going well, if we feel people in the club are not being recognized, we should bring it up to the right person in charge. But speak up to be heard. Speak up if there's a gap between your expectations and your satisfaction scores. And there's always, when these kind of surveys are conducted worldwide or within a club, there are always going to be varied answers, but it's really diving in the detail. Any questions at this stage?
Yeah, just one question, Smita.
Yes.
From the questionnaire that you gave, is that graphic generated from that, or is that something that is official or something that you've done yourself?
No, this is from the Toastmasters International website, and I would suspect it doesn't give details of the sample size. I think they would have polled people across the districts. And whoever filled that survey, that is what the response is.
Okay.
It is available very widely for everybody. And I will be putting that in the chat box. Janet, if you could put that, what I just showed, that's just a sample of, if you don't ask the question, if you don't survey your members, A, you won't get to know their needs, and B, you'll not be able to therefore cater on satisfaction level to their needs. David, that's a great question. You're a club coach, you're a club president, and how satisfied the members are in your club and the one you're coaching, that is something that a member interest survey will answer. Now, I would only caution, when you start running surveys, Beverly, I'll just come to you. When you run surveys, you also build a further expectation of the members. So run it at the right time and for the right reasons if you have the bandwidth to act on those surveys, because that builds an expectation of each and every member. So we can talk about that subsequently. Yes, Beverly, do you have a question?
I have had people who have come in wanting to just have fun, for instance, not wanting roles, not wanting to go through pathways, etc. Now, sometimes these people who come in, because they do not really understand the structure, how do you cater for those sort of individuals who just wants to come in and say, oh, we're just here for fun?
I've come here just for fun. I remind them of the Toastmasters International mission. And I would say, if I'm their mentor, that we empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. Not to say that the mission is not that they should have fun, but remind them of the club mission, that we are here to provide a supportive and positive learning experience. So if they're not here for a learning experience, if they're not here to develop the communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth, but they're here just thinking it may be a club where the dance party is going to happen, I think we need to bring them back to what the Toastmasters promise, what our club mission, and what the Toastmasters International mission is really, and remind them of that. And in that process, the meetings are a lot of fun. There's laughter and I have to say, District 91 has great energy in the meetings that of clubs that are very well run and the agenda is carefully crafted. There is that element of fun. But if they're coming just solely for fun and not really to improve themselves, not to give to other members, and not really to play meeting roles, I think we need to have that realignment of expectations. Toastmasters clubs cannot meet all diverse expectations of everybody, but we do try to increase the satisfaction level through communication of understanding the expectations, catering to those expectations that fill with our club mission and the Toastmasters International mission, and ensuring that their satisfaction levels are based on those that we're out and can deliver. With that, I just want to show you, before I take another question, I just want to show you something we tried in Division D in Toastmasters in District 91. So on the 1st of July, we said, in the next 20 weeks, we will have 20 initiatives that will make sure we get 100% net renewals. And that meant that by the end of November, 20 weeks were over, and we would have got near 100% renewals. I'll just walk you through the relevant initiatives that cause member satisfaction. The first one was continued service excellence. Our experience in Division D, we were very fortunate to have past area directors, past division directors, at least 3 past district directors of our district that were members of Division D. We asked all of them, including the immediate past presidents, to continue serving their clubs or serving other clubs in the division. And we created a group of all of them. And whenever the area directors or the division director, which is myself, or any club president wanted their assistance, they were happy to reach out, get involved. We continued communicating to them through the protocol that we follow in Toastmasters, which is from the trio to the division directors, to the area directors, to the clubs, and then they got that communication, or we directly communicated to them in the group. We ensured transparency, and members really like transparency. When they pay money for club funds, they want to know the accounts, for example. How is that money being utilized? And if there are initiatives that are happening across our district, they just want to be communicated what they are so that they can decide to go for it or not go for it. So we felt communication both from members all the way upwards to our district leadership team, the relevant communication flow, was equally important, as well as the flow of initiatives across from the district leadership strategy down till the member. We also decided that let's have a look at one team, one dream. We have 7 district officers. They've been working cohesively. And in a club environment, it's applicable to work on member satisfaction, score increase. All 7 club officers have to work as well. We also had this favor of no idea is a bad one. Typically in a Toastmaster meeting, some clubs that are very successful have 5 minutes on the agenda for any other business. They may have it in every alternate meeting. I would just encourage those listening to this that try to do that at least once a month. That's the time when members who may not be district officers or club officers can suggest ways to improve the club or improve satisfaction levels. We also used to say, ask to get to know. If there's a member who is dissatisfied and say another member in the club knows, explore it. And we had this initiative called LEAD, which is listen to all, explore from all, act for the clubs, and deliver to member expectation. Not always can you cater and deliver to all member expectations. But even if you can communicate the difficulty as to why that expectation, for example, Beverly, when you mentioned having fun, cannot directly be catered to, especially if it's again something nebulous that we can't understand, you then communicate that to them. As a club, some clubs feel that they're failing. They only have 8 to 20 members, and they feel that it's a bad thing. But I think if we encourage embracing failure, whether it's the members failing in their speech, whether it's members feel that they're failing as a Toastmaster, they do not get the time to attend meetings, we have to have a culture where we embrace that failure and that culture of saying it's not bad to raise your hand and say something is not working for me as a member or for us as a club. I'll go to from push to pull. Some districts that I have experienced like to push agendas. Let's make sure all the clubs do MOTs. Let's make sure everybody does CSPs. Let's make sure that all the clubs have got all their 7 officers trained. That is what I would call a push. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but I would rather that as a member, all of you who are listening to this, would want to engage, communicate your expectations and your needs within the club. And then the club officers are there to serve those expectations and needs and try to have you more satisfied than you already are. That's what I do to my husband, ensure he's more satisfied than he already is, keep asking him for his needs without really making it very evident and overt all the time. So yeah, doing a member interest survey is a very direct way to gauge those needs. But then you observe as a club officer what's happening in the meeting. You can see people who are dissatisfied or satisfied. Let's not wait for the September renewal or the March renewal to see who's satisfied or dissatisfied. But really, if you take the pyramid, the members are there, they state their expectation, they are being satisfied by each other, but at the same time, the club officers are there to serve the members. And then the area directors are there to support the club officers, the division directors there to support the area directors, and the district leadership team collectively, and others that are helping the district leadership team are there to support the divisions. And that's what we should start doing. The agenda should be starting from the club success plan and the member satisfaction score enhancement. So we had that initiative. I have to say, we have not yet completely got a poll happening. It's very rarely that club officers are raising their hand and saying, this is what our club needs. Can you help us do this? But we do, if we ask the question, we do get a response of how we can support our clubs. There are a lot of recognitions that Toastmaster gives. And members have to know what recognition program their club has. And it's very important for club officers to know what recognition programs are working in their area and what can be enhanced and do that best practice sharing. We also started this initiative of Read to Lead. We started straight away with the area directors, got them to read the district leadership handbook, started with the club committee, the club contest chair, the chief judge of the clubs, and asked them to read the contest rule book as well as the club constitution book, some basic guidelines, as well as read Toastmasters promise. What is it we as an organization are wanting for our members to do for the clubs, and what are we wanting to do for the members? And that brought that commonality of expectation. I also strongly believe that this whole attitude that I've seen in beautiful clubs like Epsom, Surbiton, Speakers of Croydon, Excalibur, do it yourself. So if a VP membership does not turn up at a club meeting, there are people over there who always step up to play that role, introduce the guest, talk to the guest about the Toastmasters program. Even if it's a small gesture of making sure the room is set before the meeting starts. Sometimes you can't rely only on the designated people to do everything. So the culture of do-it-yourself attitude helps in increasing satisfaction levels. Keep an amoeba focus. If someone is coming in half an hour late, there is something that is happening there. And maybe that may cause dissatisfaction to that member because the introduction, the theme, the word of the day is probably not even told to that person who's coming in. But watch out for those small little things in the club membership that's happening, and ask those questions, just like I asked you. What keeps you satisfied? How satisfied are you? Uh, Try and figure that out as a member, and try and ask that question to yourself as well. Uh, that's really what I thought I would share at this moment. And then let's go to questions here.
I think, Nick, you had a question. Has it been answered?
Yeah, no, it wasn't a question. It was just adding the point earlier about members join just for fun. It was just you're saying that when all members join, they sign to a promise, and the promise is to commit and contribute. So even if you're there for fun, which is obviously everyone wants, you're still promising to contribute to meetings and by doing roles, which is a leadership thing. So that's part of your promise. So it was just at that point. That's all.
So satisfaction of members should lead to retention of those members. And what drives member retention? Of course, AI, ChatGPT will come up with a lot of things in Toastmasters, but just look at the videos that people have. There are so many YouTube videos that are so relevant to us. Please, if you're a club officer, an area director, or a district officer, division director, please see some of these videos in your free time. I just love a lot of them, and I have gone through many of these. The essence really is retention is not a shoe that fits all. Retention is customized to each groups of members. How you retain those that have come in just for communication skills is a little different from those that have come just for leadership skills. The other thing I would encourage you to do, our club road director, Lynn Gear, she came up with something called the My Why document, which I will share with all of you. That says, why should I be a Toastmaster? Why should I be an area director? Why should I be a club officer? Why should I be a division director? What is your why? And in a way, when I'm asking, what is your expectation? It is really your why. Why did you join Toastmasters? Why are you in Toastmasters? And how are you going to ensure your own satisfaction? It's not someone else's job to keep you satisfied. It's everybody's job. And that's the culture I want to bring across. And that's the culture we have in a lot of clubs. In one of the clubs that I'm a member, there are about a group of 6 people who come only at the time of contests because they love the contests. Throughout the year, you'd hardly see them. But in the run up to the contest, they will come, practice parts of their speech, take part in the international speech or the table topic contest or the humorous contest, and do a brilliant job. That will all come out when you do the member interest survey. That it's okay for a club to be full of members with different needs. But when it comes to retention, the retention shoe, like I said, cannot be a brush that you paint and everybody accepts it. It is customized for each person. So Devi might be retained because we sometimes allow her daughter to come into the meeting towards the tail end and give her a table topic. Right, Devi?
Yes, yes, yes.
This helps you in Sudden Speakeasy.
Mm.
This really helps your daughter. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, she came for the Christmas special and we gave her the Best Table Topic Award. She genuinely defeated our club champion of a couple of years in table
Yeah.
topics. That's how good she was. And it was a lot of fun because I was the ballot counter that day and I saw that she got 12 ballots more than the second speaker. And I was personally very delighted. And when I told that little girl, who's likely to be a Cavalier soon, when I told her that, I now know that Devi will renew.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean I don't bother if I was a club officer or a division director, which I am? Would I not bother about Devi's satisfaction levels or scores just by that 1 or 2 needs? Absolutely not. I know Devi probably hasn't filed her pathways level. So I do want her and I do want to encourage her to do that as well.
I have completed, level 1. Yes.
I know, Sridevi. So I'm sorry I'm picking you up, but I'm just giving
No,
you
no,
an
that's fine.
example. So the shoe for Sridevi is very different from the shoe for another DTM there who's been a division director, Gillian Pryor. Her requirements, her needs are very different from that of a young Toastmaster, relatively, like Sridevi. And it's for us as a member, Mural, not necessarily you as an area director, but every member has to assess that need, which may be explicit, stated, or even not stated. And that's why you have socials. There are clubs like Riverside who go to the pub after every meeting, Wembley speakers. They sit, they interact, they have a lot of fun. And that's when a lot of that comes there. But it is about the member. But I know Sri Devi is the member who will renew because on special occasions like Christmas parties, we invite the child to join us for a Christmas cake.
Yeah. No, no. Means if I can share my experience for a minute, means
Yes,
I
absolutely,
can
Sri
say
Devi.
that yes. Means thank you, Smita, for sending me the invite. I felt very delighted, and I have been with Toastmaster for last 1 year, and I can see a transformation in myself. Means I show up strongly, confidently in my work because of the Toastmaster experience. And I can see the changes in me and the confidence it has helped me to bring up. And the way I present myself now compared to the past 1 year, it is drastically different. So I can say that I am totally satisfied with the Toastmaster. I'm part of the Sutton Speakeasy. The members, how they treat me and how they encourage me, and whatever this society it has been built, I'm quite pleased with it.
Great. But Sri Devi, let me ask you a question. While you are satisfied and you're expressing that here, if I ask you, name me 5 members in Sutton Speakeasy that are not completely satisfied, you don't have to name them here because this
Okay.
is being recorded. But if I was to ask you that question, would you be able to name a few at least and possibly guess whether what the reason could be? You may
Maybe
not
I
be able
can
to
think
state
of
it.
one or two. Yeah, I can think of one or two. Yes, some of the feedbacks maybe I can pass on the later, but mostly 80 to 90% I feel like yes, whatever the purpose they come to Toastmaster, they feel like it is met or satisfied.
And that's brilliant. Now, for that one of two, I'm just taking that analogy, and it's not just a question for Sri Devi, it's for everybody listening to this. If you know that there are members in your club that are not completely satisfied, it's the onus onto you. Remember our mission? We are there to mutually support, to enhance members' needs, really, communication and leadership needs. So, within that gamut, please make sure if you identify something, discuss it with the club officer. If you feel it's that they're not giving speeches or they're not coming at all to the club, discuss it with the president. It's members that give that feedback. It's very difficult for a president, like let's say David, who's here, to know exactly what each and every member is thinking. But if there's a member that knows some members are dissatisfied, similarly, that for district officers, raise that. I'll raise an example of a club. I'm not going to name the club, but I was talking to IK the other day and I found out that the club started with a base of X number. And then when it came to September renewals, we lost 55. 55 people did not renew that club. And I went ballistic, literally. I was like, why would a club of 74 members not have 55 members renew? It just completely got me to question. Now, I'm not even a member of that club, but leave me aside. IK was a member of that club and he just joined the club. And he looked and he says, yeah, I don't know why. I said, IK, you're a club officer. Go find out. And of course, we know it was a university club. So we know that the session finished, they had renewed, but they're no longer coming to the physical club. It's not a hybrid club. But did those 55 members just walk away from Toastmasters? Did they just go join another club? And I believe that it's always been proven that retention is correlated to satisfaction. And even if they can't physically come to our club, let's make sure they continue their journey in Toastmasters. So even a small thing like an exit interview when someone doesn't renew by the VP membership or by a committee member is something that helps gauge, did they leave because they were dissatisfied, their needs weren't catered, or was it just that they were moving away? And I think that onus is on to all of us. Yes, Janet.
I think to add to that, Smita, as well, is an awareness of when members don't come. If you do a committee meetings, well, who hasn't been for a while, and then somebody on the committee will follow up with them. Obviously, the VPM is the primary one, but if they've got a mentor, find out why they're not coming. I usually just send a little email that just says in the subject, "We've missed you, haven't seen you for a while." And that will re-engage them, hopefully, if they felt a little bit out of it, if they haven't taken the club role. But I also feel that the more engaged they are in the meetings, the more enjoyment they will have out of it.
Great point, Janet. So, Sridevi, will you write in the Sudden Speak Easy WhatsApp group how satisfied you are
Yes,
and
yes.
spread that
I think
word and be our acting surrogate VP membership during tea time in the break for the guests and talk to them about Toastmasters? Of course, the VP membership will do it, but you bring that energy that we want in every club.
yes,
So,
yes.
satisfied, those of you that are satisfied, please express it. Express and get them to express. Yes, Ike, how can I help?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, so our area director made a suggestion. She said, okay, why don't you try changing the structure for 1 week? Just try something new. Instead of starting with prepared speeches, then going into table topics. Why not start with table topics? And I was in this meeting with my president and the area director. So, my president said, okay, when you're Toastmaster, on a club meeting, can you implement the structure? So I've gone about like creating just a new format and agenda, which is actually going to be tomorrow, and we'll be trying something new, and I'm hoping this will help because I've noticed, and the area director noticed that towards the end of the meeting, sometimes people are stretching a bit. It might be getting, but if we start on with table topics, going to press, and then end on table topics, we're sort of changing it up, we're keeping it new and exciting. So hopefully, potentially this might help. But I do think that sometimes trying new things can help, and change for me is a form of evolution. Without change, you can't grow, you can't evolve. So people might be like, okay, all right, we're starting with what a lot of people at my club call tabletop exciting. So if we're starting with that exciting, which people have said themselves, it may change. It may change. It might add. But as I said, like for me, change can be a solution. It doesn't have to be permanent, but change can also mean evolution. So I think it's worth trying something new.
Just want to say something. I started with saying satisfaction is very nebulous. It's like the wind. You can't touch it, feel it, smell it, quantify it, hold it. And we have to work on tangibilizing it. And so things like surveys, asking the question, and all of this really helps. Seeing happy faces. Are people coming before time? Are they networking? Are they engaged with each other? Or is someone just sitting at the back during the break and not really interacting? Or maybe too shy? Not everybody is comfortable coming in, particularly the new members. They don't know how to butt into a conversation necessarily. And that's the kind of stuff that we have to be watching out for when I say amoeba focus. We want to see happy faces during the club meeting. But hang on, the club meeting's twice a month, usually fortnightly in District 91, and we don't necessarily get to gauge everybody all the time. We don't see that as our daily duty. What are you and each of you going to do to, first of all, tangibilize your own expectations, your own satisfaction levels, before you start observing others' satisfaction levels or helping your club committee to cater to those satisfaction levels? So, just a thought to think about. Tangibilize the intangible. Janet, I'll hand over to you. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Smita. That was a really, really helpful session. And I know we've all got some good ideas now to how to improve the quality of our club meetings. I've always been tempted to do that reverse meeting. I've never witnessed one, but I think that's my challenge for this year. So watch out for the speakers for the reverse meeting. However, for now, Smita, thank you very much indeed for joining us. and safe travels wherever you might have come from or to on your travels, meet around the world, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us.